Genealogy Today. Have you ever wondered how you got here? Of course, we know the biology of it. Mom and dad met and fell in love and had a family. Their parents did the same thing, and so on, and so on, and so on. At some point, nearly everyone wonders about this chain of moms and dads and their history. Just like you, these ancestors had many important things happen in their lives. These are called life events. Some of the most important life events are when people are added to or leave a family, like when someone is born, married, or dies. These life events happen to people in a particular time and place. When one of these events adds someone to the family, it creates a new relationship. When you get married, you get a spouse. When you have a child, you become a mother or father. These relationships form families. During the lives of these ancestors, they associated with other people and institutions like governments, churches, and businesses. Details of these interactions were often recorded. For example, a person might have kept a journal. A family may have recorded life events like births, marriages, and deaths in a family Bible. Churches may have recorded baptisms and marriages. Governments may have recorded life events, population censuses, the purchasing of land, and other important things. Discovering your ancestors is incredibly rewarding, but sometimes it is pretty challenging. Suppose you wanted to trace your genealogy. Where would you start? This is actually one of the hardest steps for people. You need to gather together all the information your family has about your ancestors and get it organized. If that is a lot of stuff, it can be hard to get organized. If it is a little stuff, it is easy to get organized, but then there's a lot of missing information. Then you can use a computer program like Personal Ancestry File or others, along with a lot of papers, folders, and a filing cabinet to get things organized. Many people get frustrated and quit without making it past this step. Boo! If you made it this far, you need to decide what to do next. Most people that are just starting go straight to the end of their lines and try to find the next generation. This seems like the intuitive thing to do, but it is actually one of the hardest things you could try to do. Some people get overwhelmed trying to decide what to do and lose interest. Say you want to find your third great-grandpa. Somehow you need to discover what historical records may have been created during his life, if they still exist, and where they are. Many people start at Google. Check sites like Ancestry.com, look in the Family History Library catalog, or look for other online listings of historical records. You may even need to call or go to the government archives, genealogical, or historical societies where your ancestors lived. Keeping track of where you've looked and what you found or didn't find is hard. Keeping a log of your efforts is tedious, but if you don't do it, you're likely to keep looking in the same places again and again or miss something important. Getting access to these records means scouring the internet, sending for these records through the mail, traveling to different archives, and ordering reprints or records on microfilm. All of these things take time and money. Boo! Once you track down the records, they can be hard to understand. They may be faded, smeared, in old or hard-to-read handwriting, or even in a foreign language. Oy vey. If you're not familiar with the record, you might miss important clues. Then there's the problem of deciding if the John Smith you found in the record is the same as the John Smith who was your third great-grandpa. Because this is a time-consuming process, you'll likely be interrupted many times and have to come back to it later. It is hard to remember where you left off. People often start over at least redo some of what they've already done each time they start again. But with diligence, you'll work through that and find something interesting. You'll immediately want to share that with other people. That's cumbersome. There aren't really any good ways to help others see what you're seeing, except to invite them over to your house or mail them a bunch of stuff. This becomes even more challenging if you want to collaborate with someone. How do you keep so much information in sync? How do they see your changes and vice versa? You'd have to pack up your files and computer and move in with Aunt Sue if you want to work well together. Because this is so challenging, it is rare to see much real collaboration happening in genealogy, other than sending people copies of things. Boo! This pattern of working alone until you make a discovery can be very frustrating. For example, imagine spending a lot of time finding your third great-grandpa, only to discover that the information is already documented in the International Genealogical Index 12 times, or that Aunt Sue had this sorted out years ago. Boo! Genealogy is hard. It takes a lot of dedication and knowledge, time, and money. Wouldn't it be great if there is a way to discover your ancestors without it being so difficult? Let's take a look at a new way to do genealogy, the family search way. Woohoo!